when I was in Vietnam, I was in a foxhole, and I promised God that if He got me back to Elon, safe and sound in my right mind, with all of my limbs, that I would settle down, get married, and serve Him. I said to myself, I said, I am not going to make it back to Elon. I said, I'm going to die over here. And this voice spoke in my mind and said, get yourself a cross. And this is the cross that I've had since 1969. This same cross, but I would always, when things were, I would always rub on it and just remember what, the cross meant, what Jesus meant on the cross. When I first came back here is when I returned from Vietnam in 1970. And it was a mixed cup, to say the least, because I was in a war fighting for representing the United States, a black man in the war fighting, and this is back in 69 and 70, and then to come back and see some of the prejudice, some of the way that blacks were still being treated, it didn't sit too well with me. But like I say, the Marine Corps taught us to adapt and adjust. I was called into the ministry. God called me into the ministry, and He made it very clear. I fought it for a long time, but God doesn't give up. And so I decided that if I'm going to be a minister, I need to go to learn what being a minister really is. Not just preaching, but the different things that you have to do. Well, being a minister, we are held to a higher standard. So we are leaders within this church, and we, as I often say, we are supposed to lead by example. We had a split in the church. The church split because of of a disagreement. It was so severe that we didn't have church for a few weeks. And Sister Lorraine Patrick, one of the mothers of the church currently now, she said, you know what? She said, we all need to just meet and greet each other and say, welcome back. And that was a moment I will never forget. And I asked the congregation to stand, and I asked if they would just go and meet somebody and, welcome them back. And when they did, some people were crying, and some people were just praising God. But that, to me, when we came back together, and we just blossomed from there, and here we are today with Reverend Dr. James H. Wilkes, Jr. My perseverance comes from my grandparents and their faith in Christ, and just from life itself. There's been obstacles in my life that I've had to overcome, and I use those as stepping stones. If I did it then, I can do it now.